In our previous video, we explored Exodus 3:13, and we saw how the Yoruba language unlocks deeper meaning, giving us a richer and more layered understanding of the biblical text. In today's video, we're diving into one of the most important verses in the entire Bible, Exodus 3:14 and 15. Here's something to think about. For years, scholars in the Middle East have debated how to pronounce the name of the Lord revealed in Exodus 3:14 and 15, saying they lost it because it was too holy to pronounce. Well, if that's the case, God would not have told Moses anything regarding his name.
Being Adonai, so in place of Yahweh, traditional Jews will call him Adonai, Lord, because traditional Jewish people feel that his name is so sacred that we shouldn't say it. And if we shouldn't refer to him as Yahweh, then why is it used 7,000 times in the Hebrew Bible, and everybody from Moses onward in the Old Testament refer to our Maker that entered into a covenant with us as Yahweh?
God would not have told Moses anything regarding his name. Besides, that's hardly what we see in the Yoruba language. When you look through the Yoruba perspective, there's no confusion. The pronunciation and meaning are clear. Because it is a natural language, it doesn't have to be learned or told to anyone that this is what it is. In fact, this word is used daily in our everyday speech. Hello, my name is Yusnabel, and the video for today is the authentic pronunciation of I am that I am and Yahweh. So let's hear what they have to say.
So it begins, Vayomer Elohim, which means, and God said. God's a speaking God. Elohim is the word for God. It is grammatically treated as a singular, but the word is actually plural. Hirak Yod Mem.
The Hebrew alphabet include the following. So this is the word God has spoken to Moses.
So that it's treated as a singular, even though it's plural, which of course has led Christians later on. Of course, Jews don't think this, and there's no evidence that anyone in the Old Testament thought this. But the Christians think of the Trinity a lot of times when you have this sort of a construction.
While what he is saying is correct to the Jewish people, the Yoruba takes a different direction. Here, in Yoruba, without the H or W, if you've been following my videos, this word is singular. Elohim on its own has never been plural in Yoruba. Don't forget. Let me give more explanation. If we go back to Exodus 3:2, it says, the angel of Yahweh appeared to Moses. That tells us Yahweh wasn't alone. For years, I thought the angel was Yahweh himself. But being able to read the text direct, I understand it differently now. Yahweh is the Lord. The angel is his messenger, like the cherubim who surrounds him. Just as in Isaiah 37:16 and Exodus 25:22, Yahweh is found between the cherubim. In Exodus 3:4, Yahweh sees Moses turn to look. Then it says, God singular calls out, Moses, Moses. Note that there's no H here for plural. That means it's singular, one voice calling him. And if you've read the Gospels, you know, this is how Jesus calls people. Martha, Martha, Saul, Saul. Now in Exodus 3:6, when Yahweh speaks directly, it's singular, no H or W. But when Moses looks at God, it switches. The H appears, plurality comes in. And that's because Yahweh was not the only one present. It shows God didn't come alone. But this verse isn't referring to the angels as God. It's like saying God and his entourage or retinue. Later, Exodus 3:12, Yahweh tells Moses to serve them gods on this mountain, not just one, which means there is no strict monotheism here. Father, Yahweh, and the Holy Spirit. So now we understand what makes it Elohim, plural or singular. And it isn't because of the Y and M at all in Yoruba.
But Vayomer is the Vav Patak doubling says that this is a converted imperfect, which is a past tense. And the Yod on the front tells you that it's imperfect. But with this particular situation, it actually is the artifact of an ancient form that it was a pure past tense.
Well, there is nothing like past tense or present tense in Yoruba. It is the structure of the sentence that describes if you're speaking on a past event or present event. For sentence structures like this word translates to and so, and he or she, and then, which speaks of a particular time someone did something, be it future, past, or future tense. It depends on the context for us to know. Please note, I'm not going against his views. His words are true to Hebrew language. I'm only speaking of Yoruba.
Basic stem, okay? And God said, okay, what did he say? He said, El Moshe. He said to Moses, Moshe is Moses, and El is El Moshe. El is two. What did he say to Moses? He said, quote, Ehya asher ehya, which is, I will be who I will be, or I will be what I, that I will be, or, I will be who I will be.
In Yoruba, Ehye isn't pronounced this way though, and it doesn't come from Ahya. Every word stands on its own, and they mean whatever purpose they are set out for. If we go into the Strongs for the word I am, it says to fall out, come to pass, become, be. Watch this video and you might understand what it means.
Nigeria. Are you up for this challenge? Oh yeah, let's go. What are some pet names? Teaching people Nigerian slangs on the red carpet. Oh yeah, let's go.
Oh yeah, let's go. Oh yeah, let's go.
Shakara.
So when the Yorubas say Oya, this is an imperative word urging immediate action, similar to how English uses come on, go ahead, or let's move. Oya is a cue word for starting, continuing, or speeding up an action. When a Yoruba person says Oya, they're calling for action, prompting something to happen, like saying, let there be an action. Wait
a minute!
This is exactly what we find in Genesis. So here, it says the following. Oya is like saying, it is time, let something happen or come to pass. In Yoruba, the definition is wide. So the question is, how is Ahya Asher Ahya pronounced in Yoruba? The alphabet is AHYH. The first and second alphabet in Yoruba means the following. Now for this Ya part, take a look at this video. The meaning of what he said, eti, which means you all, found in the Bible as ata, translated as you, but I'm not going there. And ya means to become, this word. Now that we understand what ya means in Yoruba, we can now give the full, authentic pronunciation of ahya.
Hauya. Hauya.
Very easy piece of cake. Funniest part is this ya can also be ja. That's why you see in Yoruba translation, without being able to read this modern Hebrew, they say emini tinje amini. This ja means be, become, or what they refer as I am. Let me give an example. Imagine a school teacher asking a student, who are you? The student might respond in Yoruba with Moje Nkan Bayi.
Moje Nkan Bayi.
Èmi jẹ́ ẹni tí ó.
Èmi jẹ́ ẹni tí ó ṣe nǹkan.
Kí ló jẹ́ sí mi?
Kí ló jẹ́ sí mi?
The key word here is G, which means to be or to become. Interestingly, this same word is also used for to eat in modern Yoruba, as in the phrase, you are what you eat, which could also mean you eat what you become. Now, when God speaks of himself, he says something like, Ma ya nikantimo fe ya, I will become whatever I want to become. I would be who I want to be. This shows complete authority over existence. God can do and undo, be and become anything he chooses. The closest known translation of this idea is Yahweh, but we will explore that in detail soon. The difference between G and Yah, G, is a clearer way to say be. Yah emphasizes become, or coming into being. However, the two can sometimes be used interchangeably. This means that the J in names like Jesus and Jehovah is actually correct. But Yoruba does not have the letter V, so the V in Jehovah as we know it today is a later modification. Don't let anyone deceive you. Jesus is an authentic name, but that's a topic for another time.
This is kind of cryptic. What does that mean? I will be who I will be. Of course, throughout the centuries, there's been all kinds of philosophical speculation. Thomas Aquinas, who lived in the 1200s, suggested that God's essence was his being. No doubt thinking about this passage. I'm sure he quotes this passage even. Of course, I think probably at the time of the Pentateuch, not quite as philosophical. But there is, I think, a connection to being here. And I think what we're hearing here is a sense that the name Yahweh, which has a yod and a hey, two heys and a vav in it, that there's some, that the Israelites understood there to be some relationship between the name of God, Yahweh, and the verb to be. That's something going on there in the mix.
Now for this, listen to this man.
Biro, atobo yoga. In fact, esuru yi afọ.
Esuru yi afọ. Esuru yi afọ.
Irun is speaking directly of what, a thing, which, that, etc. So for the rest, I'll just read it in Yoruba and show the translations, and at the end of the video, I'll give the actual pronunciation and meaning of Yahweh.
Òun yóò mú ọ̀rọ̀ lọ́hùn ayé àmọ́ lè mú ṣá. A ó ya iṣẹ́ irun a ó yà. Òun èyí mú ọ̀rọ̀ kí o tún máa rò lé àbí ẹni èyí Ísírẹ́lì. A ó yà iṣẹ́ lé ọ ẹni yìí lé àyíká ọ̀ràn.
There's so much more I could explain, but time and speech are limited. Now, regarding Exodus 3:15, watch this Jewish man speak, and I'll break something down for you.
One reason that God's essential name is never pronounced is based upon a verse in Exodus chapter 3, verse 15. You're reading the Torah, when you're praying, you would be able to pronounce that name as it is written. Otherwise, what we usually do is alter it slightly. And we might say something like Elohim.
He admits they altered the name slightly. But do you understand what it means to alter a sacred name, even by a pinch? Changing not just a name, but any word in a language disrupts its meaning and power. If I altered, I will be what I will be in Yoruba, the spiritual force behind the name would be lost. Once altered, nothing can restore it. So, when this man admits they changed God's name, it raises a red flag about whether they were the original speakers. A name or word must be pronounced correctly. Otherwise, you're saying something entirely different. Even slight changes can have drastic consequences.
A ó ya iṣẹ́ irun a ó yà. Aoya Ishenro Aoya.
Now, this od isn't something registered on the internet because it is just used as a subtle filler in Yoruba. In Yoruba, it's like saying he himself, yet again, still, moreover, and so on. We also say undeyi,
Undeyi.
which carries the same definition. The yi simply makes it more descriptive, like saying, and yet again, this person, or, and then this God, or, moreover, this God, and so on.
Undekeri.
This ode here is meant to be placed before or after thus, for it to have a sensible reading in modern Yoruba.
Kí òun dẹ̀ tún máa rú òun dẹ̀ kó tún máa rú lé abí ẹni Ísírẹ́lì. Òun dẹ̀ ní kí ó tún máa rò lé abí ẹni Ísírẹ́lì.
Now, remember, I said that even without reading the Hebrew Bible, Yoruba speakers unknowingly use God's name daily. Every Yoruba person knows this name without realizing it's exactly what the Bible states. Watch this Nigerian celebrity speaking. He even says Yahweh naturally, without being taught.
Ìwà tó ń wù ní gospel tó ń preach now. Ìwà tó ń wù ní gospel tó ń preach now.
And as he said Iwa, he pointed to himself, a clear expression of knowledge of oneself. This is significant because the Wa in Yahweh carries the exact meaning, even without any biblical reference by this Yoruba man. In the Yoruba language, Iwa means existence or character. It embodies both being and conduct. The phrase Iwa Ton Wu roughly translates to the nature that pleases one. When the man in the video points to himself while saying Iwa, it suggests that existence or identity is deeply personal and self-referential. This expresses what God told Moses in the previous verse, I would be what I would be. Since I've already explained the meaning of Eye Asher Eya, understanding the name Yahweh is very easy to grasp. So we see people transliterate Yahweh as Jehovah, right? Now, first off, both Yah and Je are correct. They mean the same thing. In Eastern and Western dialect, Yahweh is pronounced thus.
Yah Iwa. Yah Uwa.
So basically, Yah-Iwa means the one who can do whatever he pleases. He can make and unmake.
Maya Iwa. Èyí mo fẹ́ yà. Maya Uwa. Tí mo fẹ́ yà.
It emphasizes his absolute power and sovereignty. On the other hand, Je-Iwa or Je-Uwa means the existing one. It's like saying his name is Iwa or I am Iwa.
Ẹ̀yin lè jẹ́ ìwà. Ààrẹ jẹ́ uwa.
Unto him. Ọlọ́run tó pọ̀ nípa àti agbára àjíǹde àti ìyè. Èmi ni tí ń jẹ́ èmi ni má ṣe bẹ̀rù.
If you call him Yahuwah, you're literally saying he is the one who can do whatever he wills, and his actions are always righteous and holy. But if you say Je-Iwa or Je-Uwa, it has two layers of meaning. He bears the name Iwa. It's like a command. Become existence. You see how I naturally explain this? Which reflects what we find in Genesis 1. When he said, be this, be that, it aligns perfectly. It's that simple. I'll come back for Genesis in another video. Here's a challenge. Get a hold of any Yoruba speaker, young or old, and ask them to explain this. They would explain this in greater context because it is something we don't have to learn, something naturally understood.
And I think what we're hearing here is a sense that the name Yahweh, which has a yod and a hey, two heys and a vav in it, that the Israelites understood there to be some relationship between the name of God, Yahweh, and the verb to be. That's something going on there in the mix. So,
thus, When the Jewish folks claim that the pronunciation of Yahweh has been lost, it is not because it was too sacred to pronounce, which evidently is just a make-up lie to cover the truth, but because they cannot make sense of it, because it is not a natural language that conveys meaning simply through utterance. Language is not just a mystical incantation that must be learned. It is a natural means of communication. If a word does not make sense to its speakers, then refraining from speaking it is not a matter of God's name is too holy to pronounce, but rather an indication that the language was adopted and learned rather than naturally spoken. Hence, it required revival. That is just the bitter truth.
Ohun dẹni kí o tún máa rò lé àbí ẹni Ísírẹ́lì. Ayawa Ọlọ́run èyí ẹbí tí àyíká ọmọ.
This phrase, the God of this person, implies exactly that. And Aika refers to all the children. So I'll continue.
Ọlọ́run èyí ìbà rẹ̀ hàn ọmọ. Ọlọ́run èyí Sákì, òun Ọlọ́run èyí Jákọ́bù. Ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ ọ ẹni yìí lé àyíká ọmọ.
Now, I know many are probably wondering, because I said why, here is this. Oh, he's going to get trapped here. But no, this is a piece of cake. Don't forget, ye is third person singular.
Ó sì sí àmì èyí láíláí mọ́.
From here, the alphabet goes as follows.
Òun á sì ṣàkàrò yìí lé dídé ìran èrò.
And they will continue to think about this for many generations to come. Notice it has a double R. I used only one R because Google doesn't understand the other R sound. That second R stands for crowd or people. And notice the arrangement of this text in mind.
Kingdom.
This is my name for eternity. Again, referring to the Tetragrammaton. But the oral Torah reads this verse as Zeh Shmi Le'aleim. This is my name, and it should be concealed. If you read Hebrew, you'll notice that the text of the Bible only has consonants. There are no vowels in the Torah itself. So you can easily take a word like Le'olam and read it as Le'aleim. And so this, according to the Talmud, is one of the reasons why we don't pronounce God's name as it is written, because God commands us that his name should be concealed.
This man also claims that God's name should be concealed, but the text being read does not say that, which is why context matters. Not just to take a word and say this is what it means. It is not done this way. Yet in this passage, the context makes it clear that it actually means forever. His argument collapses because the text here explicitly states, keep telling them this, in Yoruba, which means, his name must be continuously taught this name for all generations. Not taught that this is what his name means, nay, but told that this is his name. That alone proves his interpretation wrong, trying to cover the inability to understand the name of the Lord. The idea that God's name is too holy to be spoken is one of the greatest deceptions in history. Think about it. This is a language for God's sake. And language does not work that way. Words don't just vanish into thin air. There is no way a name as powerful as Yahweh could ever be lost. If it wasn't used as a name, it would still be spoken, woven into everyday conversation, carrying meaning, shaping thought, defining reality. So when they tell you, oh, the name was lost, or we don't know how to pronounce it, that's a massive red flag. And yet, the world isn't even questioning it. How could something so important, so fundamental, so deeply ingrained in daily speech, be forgotten? It couldn't. It wasn't and can never be lost. Which is why the Yorubas understand it to its innermost depth. And that, my friends, is the truth they don't want you to see.
Ìwà tó ń wù ní gospel tó ń preach now.
Ẹ ti ya wèrè.
Unto him. Ọlọ́run tó pọ̀ nípa àti agbára àjíǹde àti ìyè. Èmi ni tí ń jẹ́ èmi ni má ṣe bẹ̀rù.
Ó yá wèrè o. Ẹ yá wèrè gidi gan ni o. Ọlọ́run gbọ́. Ìwọ àtọ̀rẹ́ rẹ tẹ́jọ́ ń jẹ, tẹ́jọ́ mu, ẹjọ́.
ẹ ti ya ìwà, a ya ìwà, ó ya ìwà, ẹ ya ìwà, à ń ya ìwà.